Alright, this is going to be the video number 2 for the vocabulary section. English vocabulary in use advanced third edition. So we have already covered the first chapter of this book, that is cramming for success, study and academic work. I'm going to repeat it again for you so that you could have revised it. If you have not watched the first video, I would request you to please go to the first video and check it, the first vocabulary, because we are going to do the exercise here. Cram means study in a very concentrated way for a short time. Genius, an exceptionally clever person. Do some revision. Normal. You can revise by looking at the past papers. So, what is past paper? Past papers is nothing but exam papers from previous years. Memorized or learned off by heart. Memorized. Again, it's the V2 form, okay? Rote learning. Rote learning is learning purely by repetition. Mnemonics. Mnemonics. See the pronunciation. Mnemonics. Tricks that help you remember something. So, that is a kind of a trick that help you remember something. For example, you're remembering that I is before E except after C. So I is before E. In mnemonics, you can see I is before, oh, not this one, friend, IE, and receive, EI. So here you are, you know, finding a mnemonics to learn this. That is called mnemonics. When you have a trick that you remember something, for example, here, friend and receive. Next one is bury yourself in your books. Bury yourself in your books means spend the maximum time studying. Intensively means in a very focused way. Know your subject, know the subject inside out. Inside out means know it completely. Composition as essay, assignment, project, portfolio, dissertation, thesis, you have already seen. Let me repeat it again. Composition could be just 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork. Essay, longer than a composition, more serious, hundreds or thousands of words. Assignment is a long essay, often part of a course, usually thousands of words. Project is like an assignment, but project emphasizes on students' own material and topic, but assignment is a kind of a part of a course. Now, portfolio is a collection of individual pieces of work. It's like your personal pieces of work, and you are making your own portfolio. May include drawings and other examples of creative work, as well as writing or any experience that you have already in any field. Dissertation is a long research-based work, perhaps 10 to 15,000 words for a degree or diploma. Thesis is a very long original research-based work, perhaps 80 to 1 lakh words for a higher degree. That is kind of a PhD. It's a good idea to start with a mind map. Mind map. All right. So we are going to learn to the word. Mind map is a diagram that lays out the ideas for a topic and how they are connected to one another. First draft is first draft is the first rough version. Writing up. So here you're saying that always write the first draft before writing up the final version. So you should always do some, previous work, and then you should finalize it later on. Essays should be all your own work. So plagiarism is using other people's work as if it was yours, but you are copying someone, you're cheating. Plagiarism is a very serious offense in colleges and universities. You cannot do it openly, you're going to get penalty for it. It is an increasing problem because it is so easy to cut and paste from materials available on the internet, and students have to sign a plagiarism form to say that the work they are handling in is all their own, and that they acknowledge any sources they have used. Acknowledge means you're giving details of something, you're acknowledging about something that you have done. There's usually a deadline. So what is the meaning of deadline? Deadline date by which you must hand in the work. After the essay is submitted is handed in. That is a kind of a formal word. It will be assessed, and usually you can get feedback. So assessed is again evaluated and given a grade. Feedback is comments from the teacher or tutor. Carry out research, less formal is do research. Carry out research is kind of you are doing research. Next is papers or articles. You know it already. Academic journals. You're not saying magazines to this because you're talking about an academic journal. So you have to say it in a way. Magazines with academic articles. Access it online. Get hold of it on the internet. Access it online. You can access it from the online sources. That means you're getting hold of it on the internet. On the internet, not in. Interlibrary loan system where libraries exchange books or journals with one another. Open educational resources. This is online materials that can be freely used by teachers and students anywhere. Dropouts leave the course before the end. So you cannot leave the course before the end if the teacher sees. But if you're dropping it out, you could say that I am dropping out from the class. So dropout means you're leaving the course before the end. Well qualified is the eighth one with the right formal qualification. And finals is last exam before the end of a college or university course. Now comes to the exercise part. First one, correct the wrong uses of words to do with written work in these sentences. So correct the wrong uses of words. So you have already learned few words here. Now you are going to correct it. Whatever wrong words it is written here to do with written work in these sentences. First one, his PhD assignment. So PhD assignment was 90,000 words long and was on the history of US place names. Do you really think that assignment would be 90,000 words? No. So what was the actual word meaning for this 90,000? See this one. Thesis is a very long, original, research-based work, perhaps 80 to 1 lakh words for a higher degree PhD level, right? So this is thesis. So for thesis, what you're using, this one. So his PhD thesis was 90,000 words long and was on the history of US place names. Second is little Martha did her first dissertation in school today. Dissertation in the school? Oh my God. No, 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 no. Dissertation means what? See, dissertation is a long research-based work, perhaps 10 to 15,000 words for a degree or diploma. You cannot do it in the school. Dissertation is not possible in the school. So what would be the correct one for this? So little Martha did her first first composition school today. It was called My Family. What is the composition? Composition means composition could be just 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork. So for schoolwork, you're using composition, 50 to 100 words only. Third one, we have to hand in an essay at the end of the course. So at the end of the course, do you really think that at the end of the course you're going to hand or an essay? We have to hand in an essay and it can consist of up to 5 different pieces of work. So what are the pieces of work? You have remembered, write it down in the comment section. Pause it. Portfolio. Very good. A collection of individual pieces of work. Pieces of work. It's your pieces of work, your own personal work. So may include drawings and other examples of creative works as well as writing. So portfolio you're using for the handworks. Okay, he have to hand in an essay. So here instead of an essay, you would say we have to hand in a portfolio. At the end of the course, it can consist of up to 5 different pieces of work. So whatever pieces of work you have done. The fourth one is teacher gave us the title of this week's project today. So teacher gave us the title of this week's project. Do you really think the teacher would give us the title of project? So weeks, what would be the answer? Instead of project, you have to say essay because essays are longer than a composition, more serious, hundreds or thousands of words. All right. But here, project is like an assignment, right? It's like an assignment, but emphasis on the student's own material and topic. So if teacher is giving, then it's essay. But if you are doing it by yourself, it is kind of a project because you are using your own materials. Because here, teacher gave us the title of this week's essay today. So we have to write 1,000 words on the topic of if I rule the world and hand it in the next Monday. At the end of this course, the fifth one, at the end of this course, you have to do a 5,000 word thesis. You have already learned here that thesis is related to the PhD level, right? It's not related to the course. So at the end of the course, you have to do a 5,000 word assignment. Instead of thesis, you would say assignment, which will be assessed and the grade will contribute to your final degree. So can you see it here? Here, instead of assignment, you have to use thesis. Instead of dissertation, first dissertation, you have to use the composition. Instead of handing an essay at the end of the course, you have to say it as a portfolio because you're talking about the pieces of work. Teacher gave us the title of this week's, not project. It would be essay. 5,000 words of thesis is not 5,000, it's more than that. So PhD assignment, PhD thesis was 90,000 words. But here 5,000 at the end of this would be assignment. Sixth one, I think I'll do a study of people's personal banking habits for my MSc composition. Instead of composition, what will you use? I think I'll do a study of people's personal banking habits for my MSc dissertation. So you're talking about dissertation, and it has to be about 12,000 words. Seventh one, I have chosen to do the portfolio. No, you have chosen to do the project instead of the two exams because you're doing it by yourself. Because I like to do one single piece of work where I can research something that interests me personally. So, all right, what have you learned now? Again, we'll go to these academic writings. Composition could be just 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork. Composition could be 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork. Essay longer than a composition, more serious, 100 or thousands of words. So 100 or thousands of words for essay. For composition, we have 50 to 100 words used for schoolwork. Assignment, long essay, often be a part of a course, usually thousands of words. So assignment can be of thousands of words. Essay, 100 or thousands of words. Composition, 50 to 100 words used for schoolwork. Project, like an assignment, but project would be students' own material and topic. Portfolio, collection of individual pieces of work, include their own work as well as writing and examples of their personal work. Dissertation, long research-based work. So cannot do it in our school. Dissertation is a kind of a degree or diploma where you are perhaps you have to use 10 to 15,000 words. Thesis, very long, used in higher degree, PhD level, original research-based work, perhaps 80 to 1 lakh words. All right, so the 1.2, this one, rewrite this text using words and phrases from the opposite page instead of the underlined words. All right, so what are you going to do here? Let me read this. When I'm studying in a very focused way, because I'm preparing hard for an exam, we'll do one thing. We'll read first underlined words, then I will read the paragraph, then we will change the word, whatever word is underlined. In a very focused way, preparing hard, exam papers from previous papers, by memory, memory tricks, rereading and going over, diagrams showing different ideas, memory learning, read a huge amount, 100%. So, you have already learned all these in the first video. If you did not remember, then go to the first video and come back, pause the video, and try to, change the words. Because here you have to rewrite this text using the words and phrases from the opposite page. That means from the first video. In a very focused way, preparing hard. All right. When I'm studying in a very focused way because I'm preparing hard for an exam, I don't see any point in looking up exam papers from previous years, nor is there any point in just learning things by memory. I know some people develop very clear memory tricks to help them remember the material, but there's no real substitute for reading and going over the terms we work. It's a good idea to have some sort of diagram showing different ideas to organize your thoughts, and memory learning is useful, but in a limited way. At the end of the day, you just have to read a huge amount until you feel you know the subject 100%. So let me rewrite it. When I'm studying intensively in a very focused way, that is intensively. When I'm studying intensively, because I'm preparing, so instead of preparing hard for an exam, because I'm cramming for an exam. I don't see any point in looking up past papers, exam papers from previous years. This long word, you could use past papers. I don't see any point in looking up past papers, nor is there any point in just learning things off by heart. So here, by memory, you could say by heart. I know some people develop very clear memory tricks. Instead of memory tricks, you could use mnemonics. Mnemonics, mnemonics. So I know some people develop very clear mnemonics to help them remember the material. But there is no real substitute for what will you use here? For revising. So rereading and going over, that means revising the terms work. It's a good idea to have some sort of mind map, instead of a diagram showing different ideas, you could use mind maps to organize your thoughts. And instead of memory learning, you could say rote learning or memorizing. Instead of memorizing, instead of memory learning or rote learning, okay? So, and rote learning or memorizing is useful, but in a limited way. At the end of the day, you just have to bury yourself in your books. So instead of read a huge amount, you could say you just have to bury yourself in your books until you feel you know the subject 100%. Instead of 100%, you could say inside out. All right. So you knew many words like in a very focused way means intensively, preparing hard, cramming, exam papers from previous years, past papers, by memory, by heart, off heart, memory tricks, mnemonics. Then we have rereading and going over, revising, diagram showing different ideas, mnemonics, memory learning, rote learning or memorizing, read a huge amount, that is, read a huge amount, bury yourself in your books, 100% inside out. All right. The next one, answer these questions. So you have to answer all these questions in one word, For example, the first one. What do we call the first attempt at writing something? So what do we call the first attempt at writing something? For example, an essay? No. So what do we call the first attempt at writing something? First attempt is kind of a first draft. You're doing rough writing. What word means the date by which you must do something? The date by which you must do something is a deadline. What word means using someone else's ideas as if they were yours? Did you remember the word? Good. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is Plagiarism. You have to write it down in the comment section how many words you have collected today. What are more formal words for to hand in and for to mark? So to hand in is submit and to mark is assess. So you are assessing something and to hand in means you are submitting. What phrasal verb do we use when someone does not complete their course? So if you do not complete your course and you leave the class, what do you say? Drop out. So phrasal verb for someone who does not complete their course before the end of the class, they leave out, that is drop out. 6.1. What is another word for academic article? Academic article where you can read them. That is a an academic journal or a paper. You know, the seventh one was the name of the system for getting books from other libraries. That is interlibrary loan. You're getting books from other libraries. That is interlibrary loan. Then we have the eighth one. What is the word? The comments you get back from the teacher about your work. That is a feedback, right? Feedbacks. Feedback is the comments you get back from the teacher about your work. The ninth one is what word can you use for a person who is extraordinary intelligent? Extraordinary intelligent, a genius. A genius. A genius is a person who is extraordinary intelligent. Oh my God. Are you an extraordinary intelligent? Let me know in the comment section. What is your name if you're a genius? Tenth one, what is a more formal way of saying do research, carry out research, choose the best word from the opposite page to complete these sentences. Now, I have already done in the first video many words. So we are going to fill it now. If you quote an article in an essay, you must dash your source, giving details of author and title. All right, I'm going to read it. You're going to pause the video and you're going to write it in the comment section. Then at the end of the video, I will tell you the answer. But make sure you're not going to watch it right now. Okay. Open Educational Dash can be particularly useful for students who do not have essay access to university library. How much fill in the blank have you done for tomorrow's maths exam? Don't forget to sign the fill in the blanks form and hand it in with your dissertation. Right now you have learned. Some people take a long time to find suitable work even though they are very dash. Orla has had a dash published in the British Medical Journal. All students need a username and password to be able to fill in the blank journals online. Casper is bound to do well in his mechanics exam. He knows the subject, fill in the blanks out. Now I'll fill it with some words. You're going to check it out how much you got. Out of 8, how many marks did you get? If you quote an article in an essay, you must acknowledge your source, giving details of author and title. You're acknowledging your source. Open educational resources. Open educational resources can be particularly useful for students who do not have essay access to a university library. Third one, how much revision have you done for tomorrow's maths exam? Don't forget to sign the plagiarism form and hand it in with your dissertation. Some people take a long time to find suitable work even though they are very well qualified. So even though they are very well qualified, some people take a long time to find suitable work. Orla has had a paper published in the British Medical Journal. So Orla has had a paper published in the British Medical Journal. All the students need a username and a password to be able to access journals online. Access. Casper is bound to do well in his mechanics exam. He knows the subject inside out. He knows the subject inside out. So, how many words in this? 8. Acknowledge, resources, revision, plagiarism, well qualified, paper, access, insight. All right. Let me go back to the words again before ending the class. Cram, study in a very concentrated way for a short time. Genius, an exceptionally clever person. Do some revision, revise past papers and exam papers from previous years, past papers. Memorized or learned off by heart. Rote learning. Rote learning is learning purely by repetition. Mnemonics, tricks that help you remember something. Bury yourself in your books. Spend the maximum time studying intensively in a very focused way. Know the subject inside out, know it completely 100%. Composition could be just 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork, essay longer than composition, 100 or thousands of words. Assignment, long essay, but usually thousands of words. It's often a part of a course given by teacher or from the course only. But project is done by your own material and topic, like an assignment, but more emphasis on students' own material. Portfolio, collection of individual pieces of work, may include drawings and other examples of creative work as well as writing. Dissertation, long research-based work, perhaps 10 to 15,000 words for a degree or diploma. Thesis, very long, original, research-based work, perhaps 80 to 1 lakh words for higher degree, PhD. Mind map, diagram that lays out ideas for a topic and how they are connected to one another. First draft, first rough revision. Writing up. Writing up is what? Okay, normal. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is using other people's work as if it was yours. Then we have plagiarism form. Another one is acknowledge. Acknowledge is give details of something. Deadline, date by which you must hand in the work. Submitted, handed in, formal way. Submitted, assessed, evaluated, and given a grade. Feedback, comments from the teacher or tutor. Carry out research, do the research. Journal, academic journals, magazines with academic articles. We do not use the word magazine to talk about this kind of academic publication, so we say academic journal if the paper or articles is about academics. Access it online. Access it online, you could say get hold of it on the internet. Get hold of it on the internet. Access it, get hold of it on the internet. Get hold of it on the internet. Access it online. Interlibrary loan systems where libraries exchange books or journals with one another. Open educational resources, online materials that can be freely used by teachers and students anywhere. It's open for all. Open educational resources, online materials that can be freely used by teachers and students anywhere. Drop out. Some students drop out. Drop out, leave the course before the end. So drop out, leave the course before the end. 7 last exams before the end of the college or university course, that is finals, well qualified with the right formal qualification. All right, this was it for today. So we have covered this first topic or chapter, cramming for success, study and academic work, and as well as we have done the exercise. So I hope you have enjoyed the video. All right, I'm going to repeat all the words again. Thesis, composition, portfolio, essay, assignment, dissertation, project, intensively cramming, past papers, learning things off by heart, mnemonics, revising, rote learning or memorizing, mind map, bury yourself in your books, inside out, A first draft, deadline, plagiarism, submit, assess, dropout, a paper in academic journals, interlibrary loan, feedback, genius, carry out research, acknowledge, resources, revision, plagiarism, well qualified, paper, access, insight, out, 100%. All right. I hope you have enjoyed today's class. See you in the third video that will come soon. So stay tuned and comment below how many words have you learned today and what have you learned? Did you remember it by your heart? Are you revising it? Do you want me to record more videos such that? Let me know in the comment section. Stay tuned. We'll meet you soon. Tell yourself that yes, I can do it. I can learn it by heart and I can use all these words in my academic classes. Okay? Bye.